So, Jay, you just came back from the room requirement.
I knew this was going to happen.
So we're going to have you do top takeaway. If they forget nothing else, what in 30 seconds would you like them to remember?
The thing that I would like you to remember is organization. Organization can make up for a whole lot of other mistakes. If you appear before Judge Sullivan or any of the other judges of the housing court and you have a notebook and you have questions prepared in advance, and as you're questioning the witnesses, you're checking off the questions that you've asked, and you have your documents organized, it can make up for a whole heck of a lot of lack of knowledge because you'll look good. And some of it is that. But if you take the time to be organized, you're going to be better prepared and you're going to know your facts. So organization is my takeaway.
How about you, Ed? I need you to bring the microphone to you because I know you've got a quieter voice than Jay does.
Thank you. There we go. When representing tenants, I can't overestimate the value of possession. I mean, you know, if you're a landlord and you lose an eviction case, you're just stuck with a tenant, right? Which is what you have as landlords. And maybe it's not the tenant you want, but you're stuck with a tenant. If you're a tenant and you lose your eviction case, you've lost your home and you're facing eviction, and if you don't find a new place to move, the sheriff's literally going to come to your house, take everything you have, and throw you out of that house. And as the judge said, and as you can sort of imagine from practice, the lower you are on the income scale, the more likely you are to end up in housing court. You know, so this isn't, you know, oh, my apartment, I got evicted from it, I'll just go rent a new one with my broker this weekend. It's people who are making minimum wage, who would take months to save up the first, last, and security deposit to move into a new place. And, you know, so just possession is hugely, hugely valuable, not just in a monetary amount, but, you know, to the actual lives of your clients. And then piggybacking on what Jay said, you know, you have to be prepared. Talk to the tenants in the beginning, go through your checklist, get a list of all the potential claims. Don't rely on the tenants to know what the claims are. You're the lawyer, you have to drag those out. And then once you know what the claims are, you have to know what the elements of those claims are and think about how am I going to prove that element and what do I need to do in advance to prove it, right? Because when you're at trial and you're wishing, if I only had a time machine, I could go back 3 months and get that evidence. Well, you do. It's just that that time machine only moves in one direction. And when you met the client, that's when you need to start getting the evidence. And when you need to start saying, how do I prove notice? How do I prove this? How do I prove that? You know, photos can only be taken before things were fixed. Afterwards, they're no good to you. So you really have to think about that at the beginning, not a week out from trial. I see so many people scrambling a week from trial, wishing they could go back and get the stuff when they should have got it at the beginning.
I think if I had to give my top takeaway, it would be to cultivate your active listening skills. I know that sounds very strange, but here's the thing what I see. When you go to court and you're representing a landlord and you're listening to the other side, sometimes if you're not listening, you don't find the solution to the case that's going on. It is always amazing to me. Sometimes you hear something that gets you through to the other side. Also cultivate your active listening skills in the courtroom. I see attorneys that just continue on, even though the judge has capped the pen, put it down, crossed the arms, and is looking very pointedly at their watch, but they're just so interested in talking. Watch the judge. Watch the demeanor of people. And when I also say active listening, if you want to learn a really good way, go to court and watch other attorneys get up and present. It teaches you what you need to do and what you don't need to do. If anybody thinks I was born in this world to be where I am now, it was not. I sat there and I watched so many cases that the judge, presiding judge at that point, whenever the court officer would ask me if I had a case, he said, oh no, she just sits there all the time watching what goes on. And you know what I did? I went up to that attorney that I liked and I'd say, hi, I'm Catherine Downing. I'm new to this. Do you have 2 minutes? I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Inevitably, that person bought me a cup of tea because he's far more wealthy than I was. And I spent time because you know what? We trial attorneys, we have big egos. We like it. So cultivate your active listening skill. Not last, but certainly not least, Judge Sullivan, what's our top takeaway from you?
Well, I like what you just said about going and observing what goes on in housing court. We have a relatively small bar across the state, and I like the idea of going in and observing. It was one of the things on my list of takeaways. It also sort of, I think it supports the notion of the importance, I guess, of working with mentors. Because if you go to housing court and you like what somebody says, or you like the way they conduct themselves, or you just like the style, you thought it was effective, it would be something you'd like to learn more about. I think that's a great idea, is to just make that connection with the attorney that you're observing. And I think you'll find that most of the attorneys in our court are very open to help others, like you've seen here today. The other piece is, I want you to take away that we are a user-friendly environment to work in. Most lawyers enjoy practicing in housing court. So don't be afraid to come through the doors and observe first, and then don't be afraid to get involved. And one great way to get involved is with the Lawyer for the Day program. We need you badly, and I think you'll find that it's a very rewarding, as I said earlier, it's a rewarding experience to know that you've impacted someone's life in a very meaningful way. So observe, call if you have any questions. Come in the doors, watch what goes on, and take part in it.